If they let in hundreds or thousands of people who already have criminal records, if deporting them creates a mass deportation, I'm all for it.
But what if rounded up in all of that are people who work on a farm, they're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do? Does that worry you?
I do want to say something, though, about Tom Homan. So for everyone who said Trump doesn't know what Project 2025 is, he just put a key contributor in charge of this. And Tom Homan was interviewed on 60 Minutes, and he was asked,
when we needed her most, the only voice of reason and truth at Fox, Jessica Tarloff, has returned, and she is taking shots not just at Donald Trump, but calling out the lies of her co-host. As today they discuss the recent announcements of those who would be joining Donald Trump's second Trump administration, of course, the cultist and craziest of the Trump stows. And Jessica hit on a very specific point on immigration, which has been such an important and scary topic as we're talking about the appointments being made to Donald Trump's administration, and we are going to get into that before we do. If I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy our channel and the movement that we are building here, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. And now, before we get into Jessica's takedown of Trump and her co-host on The Five, I think we need to play an important clip that shows the reason why so many are confused and should be concerned about Trump's immigration policy.
If they let in hundreds or thousands of people who already have criminal records, if deporting them creates a mass deportation, I'm all for it.
But what if rounded up in all of that are people who work on a farm, they're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do? Does that worry you?
That wouldn't be fair. Of course, you know, they need to make sure that they don't throw away, they don't kick out, they don't deport people that are family oriented.
The question
This clip is so sad for so many reasons, but mainly because it shows the denial of many voters and the disinformation that's been pushed to them by the right, this media ecosystem that they control, that wants to tell them that there will be people spared by Donald Trump's mass deportation plan, when that is completely opposite the truth. Donald Trump wants to deport illegal and legal immigrants to this country, and he wants to remove birthright citizenship from children who have lived their entire lives in America, and people who came here when they were 1, 2, or 3 years old and do not speak the language of their country of origin, is a disastrous and immoral plan that should scare us all. And it's the reason Jessica called it out, and her co-host in this clip right here.
I do want to say something, though, about Tom Homan. So for everyone who said Trump doesn't know what Project 2025 is, he just put a key contributor in charge of this. And Tom Homan was interviewed on 60 Minutes, and he was asked, is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families? And he said, of course there is. Families can be deported together. He also said that it didn't mean if someone was coming to be, quote unquote, rounded up and grandma was in the house and she's undocumented, that it didn't necessarily mean that grandma wouldn't be taken to. And you can say Donald Trump has a mandate till you're blue in the face. Taking grandma is not what people were voting for. They were voting for criminals to be kicked out of this country.
We need to be very scared of those officials joining Donald Trump's administration, but we also have to do the important work on educating people of the danger that they pose, talking about the way the bill of goods that Donald Trump tried to sell you, the liar that he is, to win. Your vote was always wrong, and he is not only going to betray you, but he is going to actually enact the real truth of the policy that he talked about. We need to emphasize how important it is for people to be more engaged in the truth of who they are voting for and see Donald Trump's faults and all his danger in full. And that's why we always need to be talking about that. And that's why I want to play a clip from Donald Trump's new borders. Our Tom H-Man, who was going at it with AOC, who was calling him out for his family separation policy in this club right here.
Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy?
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo?
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on family, for the United States to pursue family separation?
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommend a zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their.
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from his
Mr. Homan,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
No one will be spared by Donald Trump's mass deportation plan. It will devastate the economy, and it will be completely and entirely immoral. And they know that to be true. They know they're acting outside the bounds of what is normal, what is right, what is American. And especially because Donald Trump's plan to revoke birthright citizenship runs completely counter to what is constitutional. Donald Trump doesn't care about the Constitution. The same guy who said he wants to be a dictator on day one said he'd happily suspend the Constitution, and it makes sense, considering what he said right here.
As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally.
Donald Trump and his goons will go after whoever they want, whenever they want, if they perceive them to be an enemy. And it doesn't matter if they actually are, they'll act on their petty grievance no matter what. And in spite of helping Americans, Donald Trump will always be focused on one thing, and that is Donald Trump. Even if it means suspending the Constitution, even if it means raising prices and inflation because of his tariff policy that he doesn't even understand. Even if it means destroying our economy with mass deportations, Donald Trump doesn't care about us. But somehow that message did not break through in this election. It's clear people chose Donald Trump because they did not know how he would damage this country. And if they did, maybe they didn't care. And so going forward, we have to make sure they do. And now we have to make sure that we don't learn the wrong lessons from this election. It was not about the fact that Democrats want to protect fundamental freedoms. It was not about Democrats wanting to protect trans kids in schools as much as anyone wants to say that maybe those policy issues should not be the top of mind when we're discussing them with voters doesn't mean they're still not important. What is important is that we protect people and we let people know that we care about them. And that is exactly what was said by the first transgender woman elected to Congress, woman-elect Sarah McBride. And a clip that I think we should take a look at as we try to figure out what are the steps to move forward to make sure the Democratic Party is winning elections and winning back voters. And that they know that we are the party that will benefit them, that will serve them, and that will protect them. We can see that right here.
Let's be clear. The party that was focused on culture wars, the party that was focused on trans people, was the Republican Party. It was Donald Trump. It was the $100 million, $200 million that they spent on television ads. But I want to be clear, I do not believe, from what I've seen in Delaware, that voters in my state were responding to those attacks. Delaware is in the Philadelphia media market, so we were seeing those ads that Donald Trump clearly prioritized and focused in with regard to the culture wars. What I was hearing from voters across the state of Delaware, my district is urban, suburban, and rural. It looks like America. And what I was hearing was not the ads that Donald Trump was putting on the air. What I was hearing from folks is the need to build an economy that works for everyone. What I was hearing was that the American dream is increasingly unaffordable and inaccessible. What I was hearing was that we need to guarantee affordable health care, housing, and child care for every person in this state and in this country. That's what I was hearing. That's what I was campaigning on. I didn't run on my identity, but my identity was not a secret. And in a state where 2/3 of the voters are in the Philadelphia media market, with a trans candidate on the ballot statewide, that candidate not only performed on par with other Democrats, but had the highest percentage of any Democrat running for major statewide office in Delaware this cycle. And so I think what we have to all recognize here is that when a politician tries to take an issue that impacts a handful of people in a handful of states and turn it into the most important issue in an election, everyone has to ask why. And the answer to that question is that Donald Trump was trying to divide and distract from the fact that he has absolutely no policy solutions for the issues that are actually keeping voters up at night, the issues that I was hearing about on the campaign trail. And I think we have to be crystal clear as we move forward that we are going to call out the hypocrisy of Donald Trump, of disingenuously claiming that he is a fighter for working people when his agenda is pro-higher cost.
As Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride said, the truth about what happened in this election does not boil down to giving up on protecting marginalized groups. It means making sure people know that we're fighting for them. And one of the most difficult aspects in doing that is communicating through this broken media environment that we have, that Fox is the biggest cable network, that Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens have the biggest podcast, that the right-wing media ecosystem has infested Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk. That's what we have to break through. And those are the places that we need to build community to show people the wins of the Democratic Party and show how we can better improve their lives. And that is why this channel is a project that we are growing together, because these things matter. Platforms matter. Talking about these issues matter, and it's what we're going to be doing every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.